my name is Chloe and I'm the Families Programmer for JW3, and welcome back to Rise and Shine Shabbat Time with me and my friend Bertie the Shabbabat. Can you say hi? He says hi. Now, the story for this week is called Just Enough, and it's an old Russian folktale that I thought you would enjoy. Now, this story is for children that are a little bit older, and it's quite long, so it's going to be split into 2 parts. So catch part 1 today and then catch part 2 next week. Should we start? Let's start. Jacob's father was a tailor. When he was a young boy, Jacob would spend the days in his father's shop, learning how to cut and sew fabric. Do you know what the word fabric is? So fabric means, for those of you that don't know, material that you might make clothes out of, that you might make pillows or even puppets. So Bertie is soft, this fabric is squishy, and this fabric is scratchy. There you go, that's what fabric means. As time drew on, Jacob started to dream of a coat he would like to make for himself. He planned just how it would look and what fabric he would love. As he grew older, he saved any coins he earned from working in his father's shop. Finally, after many years, he had had enough money to buy the fabric he wanted. When Jacob had the cloth, he worked and worked on his coat. He spent many nights measuring, cutting, sewing and pressing until his fine coat was complete. He was so proud of his work and happily showed his father. His father looked at Jacob's work and then patted him on the back. "Well done, Jacob. You have become a fine tailor," he told his son. Jacob loved his coat dearly. He happily wore it through the long, cold winters, and it kept him oh so warm. Years passed, and one winter, whilst walking in the snowy marketplace, Jacob saw a woman shivering with only a thin shawl to keep her out of the cold. Jacob went to her and offered her his coat to keep her warm. He slowly walked her home, chatting all the way. Sarah was about his age, and Jacob learned that they had much in common, and 2 years later, they were married. Jacob started his own little tailor shop in the house he shared with his new wife. Winters passed and he continued to wear the coat. Jacob wore and wore his coat until it was almost gone. One day he picked it up and said sadly to Sarah, "This old coat has been so special to me. It was my dream to make it, and also to make my father proud. All those years ago, it helped me to meet you, but now there is nothing left." But then Jacob laughed as he looked at his coat more closely. But yet there is just enough left. He rushed into his shop and began cutting and sewing. Early the next morning, he emerged with a jacket made from fabric of his old coat. Jacob loved the jacket dearly. He wore it often. Time passed and Sarah gave birth to 2 little girls. The following winter, when Jacob saw the first snowflakes start to fall, he rushed outside with his 2 daughters tucked under his jacket. Together, they all twirled around in the falling snow, laughing as the snowflakes landed on their noses and tongues. Jacob continued to wear his coat for years and years until Sarah noticed that it was looking all worn out. Jacob looked sadly at the beloved jacket. "I will never forget how this jacket kept us warm while the twins and I danced together in the first snow. But you're right, it's all worn out. There's nothing left." But then, with a little laugh, Jacob said, "But there is just enough." Again, Jacob rushed to the shop. He cut and sewed the fabric from the jacket until he emerged with a neat little cap. It looked so smart, and he was so proud to wear it. He wore it nearly every day. Years passed, and there was a famine in the land. No one had money for new clothes, and Jacob's family had very little money for food indeed. Do you know what famine means, Bertie? No. So famine means when lots of people get quite sick. Famine's not good, is it? No. They rarely had anything sweet to eat. They mostly had cabbage, potatoes and beans. But one day, whilst walking in the woods, they came across a bush of blackberries. The berries looked so juicy and sweet, they longed to bring some home with them. But they had nothing to put them in. Then Jacob remembered his cap. He took it off his head, and together the family filled it to the brim with the beautiful sweet fruit. Back home, they made a delicious blackberry pie, and at dinner time, they ate every bite. As time passed, Jacob's daughters grew up, and his hat became threadbare. One day he looked at the beloved cap and found himself saying, "It's all worn out, there's nothing left." But then he chuckled and rushed to the shop. Again he began cutting and sewing, and hours later, we'll have to wait until next week to see what he made. How exciting. Thank you so much for listening to this week's chapter. And catch us next week. Can you say Shabbat Shalom to everyone, Bertie? He says Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.